In this lesson, we're going to discuss order of operations. So order of operations are going to allow us to simplify an expression by substituting a number in for a variable, if there is one, or by just simplifying something even if there isn't a variable. It's just a combination of constants. You probably will recognize the concept here because we have something we call PEMDAS, and we'll go back to that in just a moment. But order of operations, you're going to start with parentheses, all right, or other types of grouping symbols. That can include brackets or absolute value signs are also a type of parenthesis in this case. All right, you're also going to be then doing exponents. So that could be squaring something, raising it to the third power, raising it to the fourth power, anything like that. Also, square roots and cube roots fall under exponents. Then you're going to do multiplication and division. These are going to be done in order from left to right. All right, so the trick here, of course, is that you have to do them in that order. And if you don't do them in that order, then you're going to get the wrong answer. Okay, so then you do addition and subtraction also from left to right. Then once you simplified inside your parentheses, you may need to start back over on the next step. All right, PEMDAS. I promised you I would come back to this. So PEMDAS is PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is our mnemonic that we tend to use with that. All right. But if you remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS, either way, it's going to remind you that you have parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. So you just want to make sure that you remember multiplication and division go together and addition and subtraction go together. So let's take a look at an example. We want to simplify 18 divided by 6 plus 4 times 5 minus 2. Where do we start? Well, PEMDAS tells us we start with parentheses. Well, are there any parentheses? Yes. So we're going to simplify inside of them first. So this 5 minus 2, we're going to simplify that to be 3. All right. So next we're going to ask ourselves, are there any exponents? No, there are no exponents. So we get to skip that step. Yay, it's already done. All right, next is multiplication and division. We see that there is multiplication and division. So we're going to work from left to right. The leftmost of these is 18 divided by 6. 18 divided by 6 gives us 3. But then we also have another multiplication division, 4 times 3, which when we multiply that out is going to give us 12. So again, notice we went from left to right. Last but not least is addition and subtraction because we are done with multiplication and division. And in this case, we have 3 plus 12, which simplifies to 15. And that is our final answer for this example. Now, you might think to yourself, that seemed too easy. What about a harder one? Well, let's take a look at one that involves an exponent. Now, we don't start with exponents, even though we see it there. We're going to start with parentheses. So we start with the innermost parenthesis, all right? Because you can see we actually have parentheses and we have brackets, all right, which are another type of grouping symbol and count as parentheses. All right, so we look at the innermost one, 4 minus 2, and we'll simplify that to 2. Then now we are inside of these brackets. So looking inside of these brackets, what can we do next? Well, PEMDAS. There are no exponents inside those brackets, but there is multiplication, okay? And there's only multiplication, there's not division. So we know we do start with that. 3 times 2 is 6. Now, inside the brackets, we have subtraction. So 6 minus 6 is 0. So again, notice what we did. We started with the innermost parentheses. We simplified that. Then we simplified the next set of parentheses. You want to think of this almost like nesting dolls, where you have one inside of another, inside of another. All right? You always start with the smallest nesting doll, and then you work your way back out, okay? All right, so we've simplified our parentheses. Now we need to look at what's left. Well, I have exponents next, all right, because PEMDAS, P-E, all right? So exponents, 2 cubed, is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2. So you're multiplying 2 out 3 times. Well, that's going to give you 8. So you have 5 plus 8 plus 3 times 0. So now we've done exponents. We're on to multiplication and division. There's only one of those in this expression, so we're going to multiply 3 times 0 is 0. Now we have no more multiplication or division, so we're going to do addition and subtraction. We go from left to right. So the first one we have is 5 plus 8, which is 13. Then we have 13 plus 0, which is 13 again. All right, getting the hang of this? I think so. I think you are. All right, let's try one more. In this one, what do we simplify first? Well, we're going to look at the innermost parentheses. So parenthesis, parenthesis, 9 plus 3 is 12. Okay. Then we are now working inside the brackets, which is going to give me 4 times 12, which is 48. Notice that this minus sign gets carried down. Also, one thing I want to point out as I'm writing this down and I'm showing you these steps is you'll notice that everything that I'm not doing, I'm still carrying down. I don't just write 9 plus 3 is 12. I don't just write 4 times 12 is 48. Because if I do that, I'm much more likely to miss my negative sign, my subtraction. All right, so you do want to carry down everything that you don't use, everything you see here that's colored in black, with everything that you're doing in red. Okay, so don't just draw arrows or carry down just the piece that you want to work with. Carry everything. All right, so now when I'm at this step, I've done all my parentheses. So I'm going to move on to E, exponents. So 5 cubed is 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Now I have 9 plus 125 minus 48. Addition and subtraction, I'm always going to do from left to right. So 9 plus 125 comes first. That's 134. Then I'm going to subtract my 48, which leaves me with a final answer of 86. So now that you've done some practice, hopefully you're ready to go tackle these on your own.